The fluorescent lights hummed too loud in the conference room. My name badge dangled from my neck like a noose. I sat there, staring at Amanda Keene, my boss for 10 years. She cleared her throat. "Lauren, I'm afraid we're having to make some budget cuts." Her voice sounded syrupy and fake. My whole team watched as she slid a thin envelope across the glass table. My throat burned. My laptop was still open to the campaign that won us our biggest client last quarter. I whispered, "You're serious?" Amanda's red nails tapped the folder. "Effective immediately." Security waited outside the door. The moment the guards stepped in, it hit me, they were erasing me. I grabbed my things quickly. My heart pounded, but I kept my face straight. 10 years of hard work, gone in minutes. Amanda smiled like nothing happened. I walked out, feeling eyes on my back. In the hall, a coworker whispered sorry, but it didn't help. The elevator ride down felt endless. What she didn't know was that I'd kept everything, files, emails, proof of my work. This wasn't the end. I walked through the office with a cardboard box that still smelled like fresh toner. People avoided eye contact, the same ones who laughed with me at lunch yesterday. Amanda's reflection glinted in the glass wall behind me, smiling for HR. Her favorite line echoed in my head, "We're a family here. Families don't call security." I passed the break room where we celebrated wins. My wins, mostly. The box held my mug, photos, and a few files. Outside, the cold air hit me. I set the box in my car and leaned against it. Tears came then, hot and angry. But I wiped them away. Outside the building, I stopped crying, and started remembering. All those late nights, ideas I gave Amanda. She took credit every time. I pulled out my phone and scrolled old emails. There it was, proof. I drove home, mind racing. This budget cut felt personal. Amanda always saw me as a threat. Now, I'd make sure she regretted it. Suspense built as I thought of what came next. In the parking lot, my hand shook so badly I almost dropped the box. 10 years. 10 birthdays, 10 Christmas parties, 10 unpaid weekends. I gave them my 20s. Now I stood in 37-degree wind, holding a coffee mug that said team player. Then my phone buzzed, a text from my coworker. "She told everyone you were overspending company funds." I stared at it. A lie. Budget cuts, my ass. Anger replaced shock. Amanda spread rumors to cover her tracks. I got in my car, heat blasting. Home was quiet, too quiet. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the wall. So, I started collecting proof. I logged into my personal email, backups of everything. Timestamps showed my work on big projects. Amanda's name on final versions, but drafts were mine. I saved screenshots. This wasn't just firing, it was sabotage. My mind spun with questions. Why me? What did she hide? Suspense gripped me as I dug deeper. That night, I pulled out an old flash drive. On it, every project file, timestamped, every client email. All showing who really did the work, me. Every compliment Amanda took credit for, mine. Every team win, my name on the drafts. I started building a folder called Insurance. I added more, performance reviews praising me, emails where Amanda asked for my ideas. It felt good, like taking back power. But first, I needed to survive. Bills loomed. No severance, just 2 weeks' pay. I couldn't sleep, mind racing. What if rumors ruined my chances elsewhere? Morning came. I made coffee, stared at my mug. Team player. Not anymore. I opened job sites, tailored resumes. This folder would be my shield. Suspense built. What if Amanda slipped up? I knew her habits. Arrogant people always do. The first week after the firing, I barely spoke to anyone. I sent out job applications every day, but rejections piled up fast. Each email saying, "We've decided to move forward with other candidates," hit like another punch to the gut. Amanda's rumors spread through the industry, performance issues, burnout. People I'd networked with went silent. My inbox felt radioactive, like opening it would poison my chances forever. Still, I woke up at 7 every morning, out of habit from my old routine. No job waiting, just coffee and staring at my computer. I walked in the park to clear my head, letting the fresh air push away the anger. Friends called, shocked and sorry, but I told them little. I kept my growing folder of evidence a secret. Nights, I reviewed it, adding more notes and backups. It made me stronger, a shield against her lies. I refused to let Amanda win the mental war. She'd taken my job, but not my fight. Suspense lingered in the quiet days. What if no one hired me? But I pushed on. Then came an email, one that changed everything. It was from Oasis Creative, a rival firm in Denver. We've seen your work online. Are you available for freelance? My heart leaped. This could be my way back. I walked in the park to clear my head. Friends called, shocked. I told them little, kept my plan secret. Nights, I reviewed my folder, adding notes. It grew stronger. Then came an email, one that changed everything. From Oasis Creative, a rival firm in Denver. Seen your work online. Available for freelance? My heart leaped. A lifeline. The email popped up while I sipped cold coffee at my kitchen table. It was from Oasis Creative, a rival firm in Denver. They'd seen my past work online, the campaigns I'd posted on my portfolio site before everything fell apart. Are you available for freelance? The message asked. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I almost cried as I typed back yes. It wasn't a full-time job, but it felt like oxygen after drowning for a week. We set up a virtual meeting that afternoon. The team was friendly, asked about my experience at Harbor and Finch without prying too much. I discussed ideas, felt valued for the first time since the firing. They sent over project files right after. As I opened them, my eyes widened. Then I saw the client's name, Vista Energy. The same company I'd won over with my campaign last year, the one that kept Harbor and Finch afloat and saved Amanda's position. Now, Vista was jumping ship to Oasis. It felt poetic, like fate stepping in. My heart raced with possibilities. What if they connected the dots? Suspense filled me as I dove into the work, wondering how this would play out against Amanda. Oasis's new account was Vista Energy, and I couldn't believe the twist. This was the client whose campaign I had created from scratch at Harbor and Finch. I'd spent nights perfecting the ads, the slogans, the visuals that turned their brand around. That success had pulled the company out of a slump and even saved Amanda's job when higher-ups questioned her leadership. Except now, Vista was leaving them for us at Oasis. It was poetic justice, a full circle I never expected. I reviewed the brief carefully, noting how Vista praised the original work, my work. They wanted something fresh but building on that foundation. A smile crept on my face as I worked. And that's when I discovered Amanda's biggest mistake. In the shared files from Vista, there were recent submissions from Harbor and Finch. They looked familiar, too familiar. I pulled up my old drafts for comparison. My stomach tightened. She had reused my ideas without credit. Suspense built as I realized this could be the key to everything. What would happen if Vista knew? While reviewing Vista's previous files for the new project, I noticed something off. The latest materials submitted by Harbor and Finch mirrored my exact campaign concept. My words in the copy, my designs in the layout, my overall structure. She'd changed a few colors and fonts, but the core was identical. Amanda had repurposed my intellectual property after firing me. That wasn't just unethical, it was illegal, a clear violation of copyright and company policy. I sat back, heart pounding. How arrogant to think no one would notice. I didn't react right away. Instead, I documented everything. Side-by-side comparisons, timestamps from my backups, emails where I'd shared the originals with her. This was solid proof of theft. My folder grew thicker. Suspense gripped me. What if this unraveled more? I kept working on the Oasis assignment, acting normal in meetings. But inside, the plan formed. Amanda thought she was safe. She wasn't. I forwarded every incriminating file to my private cloud storage. No rushed anonymous emails, no emotional outbursts. Just quiet, careful strategy. I knew from experience that villains like Amanda exposed themselves when they believed the hero was out of the picture. She probably celebrated my firing, thinking her secrets were buried. Days blended as I freelanced for Oasis, building trust with the team. They praised my insights, unaware of the storm brewing. Every villain's downfall starts with overconfidence, and hers was showing. And then Vista asked me a simple question that would end Amanda's career. It came in an email during a routine check-in. Hey Lauren, quick check, are you the same Lauren Price who led our first campaign at Harbor and Finch? My fingers froze on the keyboard. This was it. Suspense peaked as I crafted my response, knowing this could change everything. Vista's project lead emailed casually, Hey Lauren, quick check, are you the same Lauren Price who led our first campaign at Harbor and Finch? My pulse stopped for a second. This was the opening I'd waited for. Yes, that's me, I replied. Then came the follow-up, funny, Amanda said she created it. I typed back carefully, keeping it professional, I have all the original files and drafts if you ever need them for record keeping. Send. I attached nothing yet, just planted the seed. 2 days later, they needed them. Please share the originals for our review, the email said. I sent over the timestamped drafts, emails, and proofs showing my creation from start to finish. No accusations, just facts. Suspense hung heavy. What would Vista do with this? I imagined Amanda's face if she knew. The audit would reveal the truth soon. Vista's legal department reached out to Oasis shortly after. They explained that Harbor and Finch had resubmitted my campaign as their proprietary work in recent proposals. Now, an audit was underway for misrepresentation and potential fraud. Amanda's confidence must have been cracking. I heard through industry whispers that she was scrambling in meetings, denying everything. But I wasn't done yet. My folder held more than just the campaign theft. I had backups of other irregularities I'd noticed over the years, small things Amanda brushed off. This audit could snowball. I kept freelancing, head down, but inside, satisfaction grew. Suspense built as I waited for the next shoe to drop. Would more come out? I looked at my reflection before an online meeting with Oasis, calmer than I'd ever been in my old job. This wasn't about revenge anymore, it was correction, setting the record straight after years of being overlooked. Every sleepless night working for Amanda, every stolen credit, it all counted now. Then, a phone call came from someone I didn't expect. Lauren? It's Mark from finance at Harbor and Finch. His voice was low, nervous. Mark, the quiet accountant Amanda always ignored and belittled in meetings. I thought you should know, she used company funds for personal travel. There are receipts. I exhaled slowly, piecing it together. Amanda's arrogance had finally caught up, and Mark was done covering for her. This was the break I needed. Suspense surged. What else did he have? The phone rang while I was organizing my evidence folder. I didn't recognize the number at first, but I answered anyway. Lauren? It's Mark from finance at Harbor and Finch. His voice was hushed, like he was afraid someone might overhear. Mark was the quiet accountant Amanda always ignored, treating him like he was invisible in meetings. He'd sit there, taking notes, while she barked orders. I thought you should know, she used company funds for personal travel. There are receipts. I exhaled slowly, letting the words sink in. Amanda's arrogance had finally caught up, she'd gotten sloppy, thinking no one would check. Mark explained how he'd noticed discrepancies months ago, trips to spas, fancy dinners charged as client meetings. He'd kept copies, unsure what to do until he heard about my firing. She blamed you for budget issues, but it's her spending that's the problem, he added. I thanked him calmly, my mind racing. This was gold, proof of fraud on top of the stolen ideas. And I knew exactly where those receipts should go. Vista's audit team was already digging, this would bury her. Suspense built as I waited for his email with the files. What else might come out? I saved everything, anonymized it, ready to forward. Amanda had no idea the net was closing. Mark's email arrived minutes later, attached with everything, flight bookings to exotic spots, luxury hotel stays, fake invoices billed to client accounts. All paid with company funds meant for projects. It was clear corporate fraud, the kind that could lead to investigations and charges. I sat at my desk, scanning each one, heart steady now. No more panic, just purpose. I anonymized the files, removing any trace of Mark or me, and forwarded them straight to Vista's audit team. I didn't need to be seen in this, just effective, letting the facts speak. Vista was already upset about the misrepresented campaign, this would seal the deal. I imagined Amanda's face when she learned, her smug smile fading. Then came the phone call that made me smile. It was from Oasis, but forwarded from Vista's lead. We've received additional information, they said. This changes everything. They didn't detail, but I knew, the fraud evidence had landed. Suspense hung as I waited for the fallout. Would other clients hear? Harbor and Finch was crumbling, and I had a front row seat without lifting a finger publicly. My plan was working perfectly. Vista terminated their contract with Harbor and Finch the next day. The news spread like wildfire across Denver's marketing circles, emails, LinkedIn posts, industry chats buzzing. Major client pulls out over ethics concerns, one headline read. Amanda's online presence went silent, no more boastful updates or networking comments. For once, she couldn't spin the narrative her way. I monitored from afar, freelancing quietly for Oasis. Former colleagues whispered through back channels, the company was scrambling, meetings chaotic. But karma wasn't done yet. Other clients started asking questions, pulling their accounts one by one. The audit expanded, digging into finances. I sipped tea, watching it unfold. Suspense kept me alert, what if Amanda tried to fight back? But her lies were unraveling too fast. Oasis praised my work more, hinting at bigger roles. This wasn't just about her downfall, it was my rise. The pieces fit without loopholes, each step logical from the evidence I'd gathered. Former coworkers began messaging me privately as the chaos grew. She's blaming everyone in the office, one said. Meetings are a mess. Another, they're losing clients fast, 3 more today. And the worst, she's saying you set her up, spread the rumors. I read them without replying. Silence spoke louder than any defense, let the facts do the talking. I focused on my Oasis projects, building a new routine. The suspense of waiting for more news kept me checking updates, but I stayed detached. Until someone sent me a screenshot. It was a LinkedIn post from Amanda, her desperate attempt to salvage her image. The comments tore it apart. I stared at the screen, feeling a mix of vindication and calm. What would happen next? A former colleague sent me a screenshot late that night. It was Amanda's LinkedIn post, her desperate attempt to defend herself. Sometimes you invest in people who turn out to be snakes, she wrote, clearly aiming at me. The comments below were brutal, people I'd never met calling out her lies, sharing their own bad experiences with her. Clients piled on, questioning her ethics. One reply stood out, from Vista's CEO. Integrity matters more than excuses, it said simply. No more, no less, but it hit hard. The post was blowing up, likes and shares climbing. I stared at my screen, feeling a rush. Amanda's world was crumbling publicly now. Suspense built, would she lash out? Delete it? But it was too late, screenshots spread fast. I saved it to my folder, another piece of the puzzle. Her arrogance had led her here. And then, she made the front page. News sites picked it up, turning her post into a story. What would the headlines say? I waited, heart steady. The next morning, my phone buzzed with alerts. Headline after headline, local agency accused of contract fraud and misconduct, CEO resigns. Amanda's face was plastered everywhere, news sites, social media, even local TV clips. I sipped coffee from my old mug, the team player one I'd taken on my last day, and scrolled through the articles. They detailed the audit findings, stolen ideas, misused funds, lost clients. Amanda had stepped down, citing personal reasons, but everyone knew the truth. It was poetic, her budget cuts excuse thrown back at her company. The firm was in chaos, scrambling to save face. I felt a quiet satisfaction, no glee, just justice. But there was one more twist. As I read, Oasis emailed about a meeting. What could it be? Suspense lingered, had they heard? I prepared, wondering if this was the final turn. The pieces fit perfectly, no loose ends in the timeline. Everything traced back to her mistakes, my evidence sealing it. Oasis called me into a virtual meeting that afternoon. The team lead smiled on screen. "Lauren, we've been impressed with your freelance work," she said. "We want to hire you permanently, as Director of Strategy." My breath caught. 10 years of experience, finally valued where it mattered. They offered good pay, benefits, a role where my ideas would lead. "We admire how you handled a difficult situation with class," the manager added, hinting at the news. They knew about Harbor and Finch but focused on my strength. I accepted on the spot, excitement building. This was my new start, rising from the ashes Amanda tried to bury me in. No more rumors holding me back, my reputation shone brighter now. Suspense eased into hope, what would the first day feel like? Then my inbox pinged, one last time. An email notification flashed. Who could it be? I checked, heart skipping. The email was from Amanda. Subject, please. I stared at it for a moment, cursor hovering. Part of me wondered what she'd say, beg for mercy? Threaten? Apologize? But I didn't open it. I hit delete without a second thought. Some stories don't need closure, this one ended on my terms. Her words couldn't touch me anymore. I leaned back, letting out a breath. The suspense of the past weeks faded, replaced by calm. But I still had something left to say, not to her, but to myself. In the mirror that night, I whispered, "You did it." My evidence, my patience, it all paid off. No loopholes in how it unfolded, every step consistent, from the firing to the fraud reveal. The timeline held firm, her downfall tied to her own actions. What came next? A new chapter, free and strong. One afternoon, I decided to walk past Harbor and Finch's old office building. The sign was gone, ripped off like it never existed. The windows were dark and dusty, no lights or people inside. It looked abandoned, a shell of what it used to be. I stood there for a moment, wind blowing through my hair. I whispered, "Thank you." Not to Amanda, but to the version of me who survived her, the me who worked endless hours, took her insults, and came out stronger. That building held 10 years of my life, but now it was just a memory. I felt lighter, like a weight lifted. No more fear of her shadow. Suspense had faded into peace, but questions lingered, what now? I turned away, ready for whatever came next. And then I got the call that changed everything again. My phone rang as I walked home, an unknown number. I answered, curious. A local reporter's voice came through, asking about my story. What would I say? The call was from a local reporter with the Denver News Network. "Lauren, we followed the Harbor and Finch story," she said. "Would you go on record to discuss workplace retaliation and resilience?" She made it clear, not to expose anyone specific, just to inspire others who faced similar things. I paused, thinking of all I'd been through, the firing, the lies, the comeback. Yes, I agreed. I'll do it. We set up an interview the next day. I shared my side carefully, focusing on strength and moving forward, not spider names. The piece aired that evening on their site and TV. I watched it alone, heart pounding. It felt vulnerable but right. My story became about empowerment, not anger. Suspense crept in. What would people think? Would Amanda see it? I turned off the TV, wondering about reactions. The day it aired, I didn't expect what came next. Messages started trickling in, then flooding. Who were they from? I checked my phone, eyes widening. Hundreds of messages flooded my inbox and social media that night and the next day. Strangers, former coworkers, even women from other companies across the country. All saying the same thing, thank you. I thought I was alone. Stories poured in about bad bosses, stolen credit, unfair firings. One woman wrote how my interview gave her courage to quit a toxic job. Another shared she'd reported fraud at her firm because of it. I read them all, tears in my eyes. That's when I realized the revenge wasn't Amanda's downfall or the company's collapse. It was my freedom, the space to rebuild and help others. No more chains from the past. Suspense turned to joy. What ripple effects would this have? I replied to as many as I could, feeling connected. And freedom feels like this, light, open, full of possibility. But the story wasn't quite over, more news waited. My first day at Oasis as director felt like a fresh start after the storm. I arrived early, carrying a small box of personal items. The new office was bright, with big windows overlooking Denver's skyline. My team greeted me warmly, no fake smiles like at Harbor and Finch. We had a quick meeting, brainstorming ideas for upcoming projects. It was refreshing to lead without someone stealing credit. I set up my desk, hanging a small photo Amanda once mocked during a review. It was a quote, "Know your worth, then add tax." Back then, she laughed, saying I overvalued myself. Now, it reminded me of my value. This time, I charged for overtime, setting boundaries from day one. No more unpaid weekends. The day flew by, productive and positive. Suspense lingered faintly. Would anything from the past resurface? But I focused forward. Colleagues shared lunch, asking about my experience without prying into the drama. By evening, I left energized. But the real ending came 2 weeks later. An alert popped on my phone during a meeting. What could it be? I checked discreetly, eyes widening at the news. 2 weeks into my new role, breaking news hit my feed. Harbor and Finch filed for bankruptcy. The article detailed how lost clients and fraud investigations drained them dry. Amanda was barred from future federal contracts, her name tainted in the industry. The irony hit hard. She was listed as terminated for budgetary reasons. The same excuse she used on me. I sat at my desk, reading it twice. A laugh escaped, not cruelly, but cleanly, like releasing the last bit of tension. No glee in her downfall, just closure. The story was never about revenge, it was about respect, earning it, demanding it, and finally getting it for myself. Her actions led here, consistent with every lie and theft. No loopholes in how it unfolded. The timeline from my firing to this moment fit perfectly. I closed the article, turned back to work. Outside, Denver buzzed, but inside, peace settled. My phone buzzed with more messages of support, but I smiled, knowing I'd moved on. The end wasn't her ruin, it was my beginning, stronger and wiser.